Thank you for joining us on ABC 10 Plus. I'm Alex Bell. And over the next half hour, we're helping debunk misinformation following the devastating wildfires in Los Angeles. The most destructive fires, the Palisades fire and Eaton fires, have caused unimaginable loss. The fires have claimed more than 20 lives, destroyed thousands of homes, and decimated the communities of Pacific Palisades and Altadena. Over the past week, there has also been a tidal wave of misinformation. As of this recording, CAL FIRE says more than 5,000 personnel are on the Palisades fire. Nearly 4,000 are on the Eaton fire. Emergency responders from Mexico, Canada, and many other states across the country have also flown or drove to California to help fight these fires and help pick up the pieces of what has been left behind. Now, there are rumors spreading online that those driving in to help have to stop at CAL FIRE in Davis to get emissions tests. ABC 10's Devin Truby visited the facility to ask what's really going on.
This CAL FIRE Davis equipment facility lot getting national attention on social media over what type of vehicle inspections happened here before sending crews to the Southern California wildfires.
All right, slowly release.
At this facility in Davis,
All right, good.
every vehicle that's going to be used to fight fires for CAL FIRE is checked out. Staff making sure the vehicles going into dangerous situations are safe and not in need of repair.
Okay, you can stop. Go to the other side.
But last week, their workload grew as fire departments from Idaho, Washington, and Oregon made their way to the Southern California wildfires.
DOT inspection, it's a safety inspection, and they would either pass or fail. If anything failed, we would set them aside and a different team would start on those repairs. It could be anything from brakes, tires, leaks.
More than 200 vehicles were inspected, 29 needed some sort of repair, like new tires and oil leaks. CAL FIRE says inspection time averaged 45 minutes.
For the most part, everything was out the same day. There was a couple that we had to keep overnight just because we couldn't get parts.
But when CAL FIRE posted their efforts at the Davis equipment facility on social media, they were met with hundreds of negative comments. People upset that this slowed the response time of the out-of-state firefighters to get to the front lines. Others accused CAL FIRE of running emissions tests. Do you do emissions tests here on these vehicles before they headed to Southern California?
No, absolutely no emissions testing is done here. No emissions certifications are looked at. That is completely false. No vehicles got turned away. All of the 216 vehicles that we inspected were continued their way down south.
The Oregon State Fire Marshal addressing the social media post that their trucks were turned away, stating it's false. No trucks were turned away, and quote, this equipment also does not regularly travel hundreds of miles at a time. Firefighter safety is our #1 priority. The disinformation spread so quickly, Governor Gavin Newsom addressed it and other false claims on the California Fire Facts page. CAL FIRE saying Davis was selected because it was on the way to Southern California.
We can confidently get them dispatched right away. We don't want breakdowns on the fire front. That just causes danger of public safety and firefighter safety.
CAL FIRE also says when other states respond to fires, California becomes liable for them. So they want to make sure they are safe. This is nothing new.
This is the third time we've done pre-mobilization inspections in the last 12 months. We did one for the Dixie Fire.
As firefighters help California, one rumor is going around that Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass declined New York City's offer to help, and that is not true. According to New York City's Mayor Eric Adams, New York City lacks forest fire certified personnel, which is what the request was for through FEMA. But the city has offered other aid to California, offering to send personnel to help manage the wildfire response. In a news conference on January 13th, Mayor Adams told reporters, quote, they did not turn down anything from us. I don't know where those stories came from. That didn't happen. A spokesperson for Governor Gavin Newsom's office says California has not declined mutual aid, and there are over 15,000 firefighting personnel on the ground with hundreds from across the country, in addition to Canada and Mexico. There's also been a lot of finger pointing over the severity of these fires. Some claim these fires could have been prevented through fuel management techniques like prescribed burns. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen asked fire officials and experts if that's true.
In fiscal year 23-24, we treated 106,000 acres.
In an effort to curb wildfires, California aims to treat 1 million acres of land in the state each year. CAL FIRE plays a major role in these fuel reduction projects along with other agencies.
500,000 acres from the forest, the federal areas, and then 500,000 between CAL FIRE and then all of our local response areas. And to divide it even further, CAL FIRE's goal is to treat 100,000 acres every year.
CAL FIRE, the state's fire agency, says it met its goal for the previous fiscal year. This comes after Republican lawmakers criticized the state on Monday, saying California is not meeting its fuel reduction goals as fires continue to burn in Southern California, claiming lives and property.
There was a commitment to doing 500,000 acres a year in treatment. There was a partnership actually between the state and the federal government that the governor was proud to announce when it came out. We have gotten nowhere near meeting those goals.
The U.S. Forest Service is part of the state's partnership, and right now, part of the Eaton fire is burning in their jurisdiction. As of October 2024, U.S. Forest says statewide it has done 3,500 acres of prescribed burns and more than 5,000 acres of mechanical treatments. The Forest Service says weather has played a big factor in trying to clear fuel in Southern California.
Southern California has not seen conditions appropriate for prescribed burning since last spring. So certainly we are not in any kind of condition in the southern half of the state to be looking at those prescribed fires now.
When asked if anything could have been done to prevent the destructive spread of the Southern California fires,
there's nothing. Let's just start with that. The conditions that we saw in Southern California last Tuesday were in above the 99.99th percentile of severity.
Environmental experts at Stanford University agree climate plays a major role in fire risks and management.
Even a large-scale fire break probably wouldn't have been effective in keeping the wildfire out of the communities. And once the communities are burning, the spread is from home to home, and it doesn't really have anything to do with the forest management.
While fires may be difficult to prevent, fire officials and scientists say homeowners can help minimize the spread by hardening their homes and property.
So far this fiscal year, CAL FIRE says that they have treated just under 50,000 acres. They have a public dashboard to help keep track of all their fuel reduction projects. And if you do want to check it out, we have a link on our website at abc10.com. Meanwhile, President-elect Donald Trump has slammed California's response to the fires. In a post on his Truth Social platform, Trump accused Governor Gavin Newsom of blocking water from flowing to parts of California affected by the wildfires and prioritizing fish over people. ABC 10's Luke Cleary has the details.
As crews struggle to contain the fires raging in Southern California, the governor coming under fire from the incoming president. In a Truth Social post, Trump said the governor, quote, refused to sign the water restoration declaration put before him that would have allowed millions of gallons of water from excess rain and snowmelt from the north to flow daily into many parts of California, including the areas that are currently burning in a virtually apocalyptic way. We showed the post to the director of the UC Davis Center for Watershed Sciences and law professor Kerrigan Burke. Did Governor Newsom refuse to sign a specific water restoration declaration? And does such a policy or document even exist?
There's nothing like that. There's nothing that exists. It's true that Governor Newsom has resisted the last Trump administration's efforts to change how water is managed in the Delta. But there's no document like what the past president's referring to.
Newsom also responding saying, quote, there is no such document as the Water Restoration Declaration. That is pure fiction. The governor is focused on protecting people, not playing politics, and making sure firefighters have all the resources they need. Trump also said Newsom prioritized what he called a worthless fish over people's needs, resulting in water shortages for firefighting and other uses. The fish Trump is referring to, the Delta smelt, is a small fish about 4 inches long, and the Sacramento River was once teeming with them. But in recent years, wildlife officials haven't been able to catch any living in the wild. Professor Burke says without environmental controls to protect them, the Delta smelt are a small part of the state's water policy.
Even if we didn't have the Delta smelt in there, we'd only be able to increase diversions by about 15, maybe 10% on average to the rest of the state. I want to be real clear. There's no tie between the Delta smelt and the fires that are burning in LA right now.
There have been reports of firefighters running out of water. The issue, according to the water department, isn't the lack of water, but getting it where it needs to go. Demand is so high right now that as water travels through the pipes leaving the reservoir, a lot of it gets used up by firefighters closer to the source before it can reach crews and tanks that are farther away. Luke Clary, ABC 10.
And the fight over the state management of water resources will likely continue in the next administration. The president-elect has threatened to withhold federal aid if the state does not comply with his demands. As for other claims being made, here's Verify reporter Casey Decker.
Misinformation often spreads during emergencies, like the California wildfires. So our Verify team has been tracking claims online to fact-check them. First, is it true that Los Angeles recently cut the budget of its fire department? Yes, we can verify that's true. Last year's budget for the city of LA allocated just over $837 million to fire. The current budget allocates just under $820 million. That's $17.5 million fewer dollars, about a 2% cut. Second, are firefighters running out of water because the city refused to fill up its reservoirs? No, that is false. A local water policy expert told Verify, quote, "At no time during this fire has there been a shortage of water in Southern California. Their reservoirs are full." The issue, according to the water department, isn't a lack of water, it's getting the water where it needs to go. Demand is so high right now that as water travels through the pipes leaving the reservoir, a lot of it gets used up by firefighters who are closer to the source before it can reach crews and tanks that are farther away. The city is working to help those crews by using water trucks. And third, is this video of a man trying to rescue a rabbit from the flames from the LA fires? We can verify this is also false. Using reverse search tools, we found the video is not from the current fires. It was recorded and posted 8 years ago. That fire also took place in Southern California, and the man successfully rescued the rabbit. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
Another piece of misinformation in these fires after the Sunset Fire sparked in the Hollywood Hills last week. People shared these images alleging the Hollywood sign caught on fire. This is simply not true. These images are fake and were created with AI. One even has a watermark on it from the company that created it. During these fires, California continues to deal with a growing home insurance crisis. It is true that State Farm ended homeowners insurance coverage last year in the Pacific Palisades neighborhood. In a filing to California state officials, State Farm reported that it wasn't renewing 69.4% of policies, equal to 1,626 policies, and the 90272 zip code, which is the zip code for the Pacific Palisades area of Los Angeles. As companies drop policies, more and more California homeowners have had to turn to the California Fair Plan, known as the insurer of last resort with bare bones coverage. Take a look at these numbers from the Fair Plan for dwelling and commercial Fair Plan policies. In September 2019, the number of Fair Plan policies sat just below 160,000. In June of last year, that number is closer to 420,000 policies. And then take a look at this. These are among the top 10 places the Fair Plan is considered to carry the most risk. You can see the map here that Pacific Palisades carries some of the highest risk with customers on the Fair Plan. Just like a private insurer, the Fair Plan is one homeowners have to pay into for coverage. And people will be relying on the government to help them recover from these fires. FEMA acknowledged that there will be gaps in homeowners insurance coverage, and federal agencies and nonprofits will have to step in to help. ABC 10's Becca Habegger talked one-on-one with California's insurance commissioner, taking these concerns directly to him.
Swirling like embers are concerns that many who lost their home in the Los Angeles wildfires also lost insurance coverage as their policy was canceled or non-renewed in recent months.
We're going to see who's non-renewed. We're also looking at if you were non-renewed, but you're still essentially covered within the deadline, then do you still have coverage?
California Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara points out state regulation requires insurance companies to give customers 75 days notice before their policy is canceled or non-renewed. So even if someone got a notice before the fires, they might still have coverage.
The other question is, what happens to the folks who are not insured? So we're going to rely on the federal government and FEMA to offer services and the state to be able to offer some sort of reprieve for folks who may not have coverage. But right now we're in the middle of assessing what insurance are covered in the area, who doesn't have coverage.
He says it's too soon to estimate a dollar figure for the losses, especially since homes and businesses are still actively burning and threatened.
My job at this moment is to make sure that insurance companies pay these claims out as quickly as possible.
Many homes here are on the expensive and bare-bones California FAIR Plan, a state-mandated, privately funded insurer of last resort. The number of people on the FAIR Plan ballooned in recent years as private insurers have paused or limited business in California, citing the rising risk of wildfires, high cost of rebuilding homes, and state regulations. I asked Lara.
So just to be clear, FAIR Plan customers who lose their home can expect to be paid out?
Absolutely.
In a statement, the FAIR Plan told ABC 10, "We are aware of misinformation being posted online regarding the FAIR Plan's ability to pay claims. The FAIR Plan has payment mechanisms in place, including reinsurance, to ensure all covered claims are paid." As for future fires, Commissioner Lara has enacted a 1-year moratorium on insurance companies dropping or non-renewing customers within the immediate area of the Los Angeles wildfires. So those who do have coverage right now will continue having it for at least a year.
State lawmakers are offering solutions too. We know that 2 assembly members introduced a bill that would authorize the FAIR Plan to request bonds from the state in the event that the FAIR Plan faces financial challenges following a major catastrophe such as a wildfire. That money would help finance the cost of paying insurance claims. And right now, a FEMA disaster relief program is offering wildfire victims one-time payments of $770 for essentials. And it has caused some to claim that this is the only aid that FEMA is offering. We want to verify that that claim is false. This is not the only form of disaster relief assistance offered by FEMA. The one-time payment is a serious needs upfront flexible payment. Wildfire victims may qualify for other FEMA assistance once submitting an application for additional assistance. And FEMA says as applications are reviewed, people may still receive money for other needs, such as support for temporary housing, personal property and home repair costs. And here's what else FEMA says that they are doing now.
While we at FEMA now are starting to help support this recovery piece, starting to work with the local jurisdictions and understand what their long-term recovery needs are going to be, starting to plan for how we're going to be able to bring in temporary structures for schools or other critical facilities that were lost. We need to really start to take this time to put that plan in place to help them with what they're going to need to do to remove debris and get this community on that long journey of recovery.
Wildfire victims can apply for disaster relief through disasterassistance.gov. While thousands of people have already applied for assistance from FEMA, there are also many GoFundMe accounts that are raising money for people impacted by these fires. But there is a warning for victims who are raising money and also applying for assistance at the same time. ABC 10's Devin Truby explains.
That's it, man. We lost everything.
Shane Severson recording the moment he saw his Altadena home on fire last Wednesday after he and his family evacuated the night before for the Eaton fire.
We just thought that it was just going to be just that, just like the mountains like on fire and stuff. We were just like, okay, let's go. So we just took the clothes on our back.
This is what his home looks like now. Some bricks and the rest rubble. Like many people, Severson, his wife, and 3 kids created a GoFundMe account, a popular crowdfunding platform that victims often turn to in disasters to raise money. But now questions sparking online. Does crowdfunding impact the amount of federal assistance you can receive? The answer is yes.
You lose everything and you have nothing, and just, you're just like, what do we do?
Severson, like most, had no idea that FEMA even considered crowdfunding until we told him. His application for FEMA assistance is currently pending.
I've lost so much, and it's just, I feel like I need all the help I could get.
FEMA telling ABC 10 if you receive money from a GoFundMe page for a specific disaster-related expense, such as home repairs, funeral expenses, or other emergency needs, you may not be able to receive FEMA aid for the same expenses. FEMA addressed this with a video on social media Tuesday.
The government regulations prevent FEMA from providing financial assistance to replace items that have already been paid for by another source. These sources can include insurance payouts, GoFundMe and other platforms, and money received from nonprofit organizations. We know this can be frustrating, especially when you're trying to manage so much all at once. That's why we encourage you to carefully consider how you describe your needs when creating a GoFundMe page.
FEMA recommends victims of any disaster start with their homeowner's insurance, then apply for FEMA assistance. As for the causes of the Palisades and Eaton fires, they remain under investigation. Here's what we know as of this recording. The ATF continues to look at the hills above Pacific Palisades, investigating the ignition point of the deadly fire. There had been another fire there 1 week earlier, possibly started by New Year's fireworks. And the thought is that fire was never fully put out. There's no official cause yet. As for what we mean by the ATF, well, the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, they have created a Los Angeles Regional Wildfire Task Force to look into the causes.
This task force is made up of local, state, and federal partners designed to investigate the cause of these fires and to see if there's any connection between them.
According to the U.S. Forest Service, nearly 85% of wildfires in the United States are caused by humans. Culprits include unattended campfires, burning debris, equipment malfunctions, discarded cigarettes, and intentional acts of arson. And data collected shows that at least 8 of the most destructive wildfires in the state's history have been linked to electrical and power lines. Southern California Edison, one of California's major private utility companies, has filed 2 electronic safety incident reports pertaining to the Eaton and Hearst fires. It's a sign that investigators might be examining whether the utility's equipment contributed to an ignition. And we know that these devastating fires serve as a teaching moment for all of us here in California. A land use expert at UCLA says the situation was at least 100 years in the making, and the issues leading up to it are man-made. Here's ABC 10's Roxanne Elias with the story.
A professor at UCLA is calling the wildfires in LA a biblical catastrophe.
Well, it's with a very heavy heart that I say that this was inevitable at some point, right? What we're experiencing is the impacts of what's been predicted in terms of climate change.
Dr. Stephanie Pincel teaches at the UCLA Institute of the Environment and is the director of the California Center for Sustainable Communities. She specializes in land use and the interaction between urban development and wildfire risks. And while she was shocked by the fires, she says she wasn't surprised.
We in California have encroached increasingly into highly flammable areas. And with more people in those highly flammable areas, the likelihood of these things happening increases.
The professor says vegetation is different in Sacramento, and the Santa Ana winds made the situation in LA worse. But that doesn't mean other communities in the state are immune to these types of wildfires.
We have in Southern California and California, we're still allowing developments in places where there's a lot of evidence things will burn, and the developer will say, oh, well, we're going to put a fire station in there. Go, okay, fine. Then what, right?
She says there's a lot of pressure for elected officials to allow land development because of the outcry for the need of more housing. And she believes these fires can't be prevented unless people completely change their behavior. The professor says that's highly unlikely, and all Californians should be ready to evacuate their homes at a moment's notice.
But don't expect to be saved under conditions like this. You will get resources, you will get help, but there's no way you're going to be saved by the firefighters unless you're really lucky.
In Sacramento, Roxanne Elias, ABC 10.
The professor says that she believes California's government is pulling all the stops to help people affected by the fires. And instead of finger pointing, she says people should be rethinking how they live. We really hope that you found this information useful for coverage on the Los Angeles fires. Make sure you check out our past in-depth reporting on the insurance crisis, our Emmy Award-winning water series, and our series Fire, Power, Money. All available for free for you on our ABC 10 Plus app. I'm Alex Bell, and as always, thank you so much for watching.
Trust isn't given, but earned. It's built every day by doing the hard work, putting in the hours, doing the research, holding the powerful accountable, and being there when you need us most. Working hard to earn your trust every day, every newscast, every story. Watch weeknights at 6 or stream live on ABC 10 Plus.
Thanks for watching ABC 10 Plus. And now that you're here, why don't we take a look around and see what else is here? The very first tile on your left is always going to be streaming 24/7. You can find us adjacent to that, breaking news if it's there. And then right next to that, a replay of the most recent newscast, whether it's ABC 10 Morning News at 5, 6, or beyond, it's going to be there. The forecast beyond that, and then right beyond that, the news that matters the most. Now that you know the basic tiles, let's go up to the top and take a deeper dive into news. We have every single newscast that you would need, including To the Point with Alex Bell, taking a deeper dive into the issues. Beyond that, ABC 10 Morning News at 5 and 6 and 11, the evening shows as well. Below that, you can watch the top stories from To the Point. Under that, Dollars and Cents, where you can learn how to navigate this challenging economy. And below that, you can watch our award-winning ABC 10 Special Investigations, where we hold the powerful accountable. Going into weather, look, it's the 10-day forecast, getting you ready for the weekend and beyond. Beyond that, sports. I know you care about the Sacramento Kings. We have the most comprehensive guide to anything, everything Kings in the locker room and on the court. We have it. Below that, I know you care about the San Francisco 49ers. We can't mention Bay Sports without talking about the Oakland A's. We have that too. Backing out again, come up to the top and join me on Verify. I'm super excited about this. Our experts are checking the facts, verifying the truth for you. Jump up now to shows. Very excited about this. Oh, look, it's Take a Look. This is my show. I love movies, and if you love movies or streaming shows, whether it's on screens this big, or this big, it's Take a Look. Recently went behind the scenes, sat down with Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix to talk about Joker 2. I love the movie, and oh, I just heard you shout you hate the movie. Jump in, we talk about it on this show. Other shows, Bartell's Backroads, go up and down the state of California, tank of gas getaways, one fuel cell getaway, like places like the Toy Museum. This is what kids did before they had screens. Over here, the Moaning Caverns of Calaveras County, one of the most coveted caves in all of California. You know, watching this show, I discovered there's a cave that could fit the entire Statue of Liberty in your own backyard. You'll find about that and more with Bartell's Backroads. Down below that, To the Point. It is one of my favorite newscasts because they talk about news with Alex Bell the way you talk about news. It's conversational, but in-depth at the same time. Below that, Your California Life. Love this show. Whether it's entertainment, food, beverage, lifestyle, it's there. Desiree Shepherd hosts and does an amazing job. So there you have it. It's ABC 10 Plus, the app. What do you need? We heard you and we got it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for streaming.